This video is sponsored by Tokyo Treats and Sakurako. More on them a little later. Sup everyone, welcome back to another video, and it's time to revisit some old friends, and I mean like way old, really old. We haven't really talked about Zhongli and Tartaglia in the game and their relevancy actually since a year ago, but nowadays it seems like most people don't really want to talk about them anymore. There's nothing new about them. They've been in the game since forever, and people have already recognized them as staples in many teams. There's one scrutiny about Zhongli though that seems like people are always either on one side or the other. So let's start with Zhongli first.
But before we begin, hi, Beluga-chan here, subbing for Walrus and introducing our sponsor today, the September issue of Tokyo Treat and Sakurako, Moon Festival Edition. Transitioning into the fall season, Moon Festival, or Tsukimi, celebrates the appreciation of the autumn moon and expressing gratitude for harvest and a blessing year during the full moon that happens in September. Oftentimes, Japanese people would enjoy dango or sometimes mooncake while gazing the full moon. Tokyo Treat and Sakurako both invite you to celebrate Tsukimi together with their special Tsukimi design snack box filled with Japanese Tsukimi themed snacks. These snacks are perfect for enjoying under the moonlight with your loved ones. To learn more about each individual snacks, there is also a booklet included in the box. In Tokyo Treat, you will get up to 20 of the latest exclusive and seasonally curated modern Japanese snacks that are only available in Japan. This month, we see a chestnut flavored Kit Kat, which actually has a nice milky velvety taste, while Sakurako also offers up to 20 snacks carefully curated that is authentic and traditional Japanese snacks, supporting local Japanese snack makers. You will also be receiving Japanese teas and a special traditional tableware as well. Personally, my favorite was the bunny plate with the combination of the mochi, which I tried imitating what tsukimi is like. Needless to say, they were all very filling in my stomach. So don't forget to use the code below upon your checkout, and back to the video.
If you go ask a theory crafter, most of them would say, well, Zhongli has the best shield in the game, but oftentimes you'll find that protecting yourself isn't as good as making your team just do more damage. And Zhongli brings very little of damage to your team. So in most scenarios, they would say Zhongli is a DPS loss, which is just their way of saying that there are better options out there if you can play the game without Zhongli's shield. Well, on the other side, people obviously will say, well, if I can't play the game or can't pilot characters to near perfection, or some of them, or not all teams require perfection, but some teams just don't have much room for error. And if you don't have Zhongli and you have those teams, yes, it's a DPS gain in those scenarios, but if you make one mistake or make 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mistakes throughout the run of the entirety of Abyss 12, you'll find that you have to rerun or restart, or you're gonna get so frustrated you're gonna have to quit and retry with another team, or you're just gonna quit, bring in Zhongli, and then close your eyes and clear the game anyways. But scenarios like those don't happen very often. You'll find that most times if you can't clear Abyss 12 with 36 stars, dropping Zhongli, bringing in another character isn't really going to make that difference for the most part, like I said. However, there are scenarios where if you really find yourself frustrated and struggling with a DPS focused team, bringing in Zhongli might actually help you clear the floor or the entirety of the Abyss. It's much easier when all you have to focus on is hitting the enemies and stringing together proper combos. Not having to dodge lethal attacks actually is a huge benefactor to how much you can enjoy the nuance of the teams that you're trying to play. Now, Zhongli is not the answer for all teams, but even till today, I strongly believe, especially for those on the mobile, that Zhongli is still an incredible asset. Let's not talk about veterans for a second. Let's just talk about new players. How many new players are flooding into the game since Fontaine? There is a reason why Zhongli's rerun is set in 4.0 and not later. It's because Zhongli is one of the best options, regardless if you're on mobile or PC, or PS4, PS5, he is a staple among staples for new players. You're gonna love him. In the overworld, he's amazing. In Abyss, he's amazing. You can play him in most events if you want to. He's amazing. It's just when you really want to nitpick at the top, the best of the best, every microsecond, nanosecond is going to count towards clear time, then yeah, dropping Zhongli, bringing in another DPS and making sure that you are dodging perfectly, every DPS window is capitalized on, then yeah, he's a DPS loss. But I'm gonna say for 99% of the people watching, you're never really going to ever reach that level of gameplay anyways, so feel free to pick him up. If you see people saying Zhongli sucks, don't pick him, don't play him, he's a DPS loss, remember, they're talking about it in like the most extreme of scenarios. And if you're just a casual player, or even if you're a hardcore player, but you never plan to be that hardcore and you just want to play the game and experience it and have fun, Zhongli is a great way to get into the game. And I promise the vast majority of you guys are never going to regret picking up one copy of Zhongli. Okay, and moving on to Tartaglia. This guy, Mr. Worldwide, right? I seriously lost count how many times this guy's been rerun. The meme continues to live on. The guy is in Fontaine already. I think he's been here far before we ever came here. But let's talk about his relevancy. I've made videos about this guy in the past year, and ever since I've been looking at the CN meta and their clears with Tartaglia, I've been thoroughly convinced this dude is just insane. I mean, he's in almost, if not every single abyss when it comes to usage. Like, this guy is so overused in my opinion. I used to not think he was that good until I saw just how frequently everyone was running his international team variant. It's always top 3, and it's been proven to have such good consistency that fast forward to today, almost 3 years later, the guy's banner always does decently well. And I mean, most new players would usually pick up a copy of him just because if you go to the CN community, which is what most sales charts are based off of, they highly recommend Tartaglia to any player, regardless of old or new. I'm sure there are players right now who are close to C6ing Tartaglia, even though they're like damn near close free to play on CN. That's just how good he is. He's a reliable carry. New players, though, will find him extremely frustrating to play because they don't play around his burst, but they try to play around his elemental skill. Don't get me wrong, his elemental skill is great. A lot of the times people are using Tartaglia as like a burst DPS bot, or if you understand how to properly play around his elemental skill, which is don't stay on the field for like over 10 seconds or 12 seconds. There's a specific number. Just don't use the entirety of his elemental skill. Play around certain DPS windows with the rest of your team. Tartaglia is not a solo standalone carry. A lot of his damage would revolve around reactions with other members of your team. Vaporize is his favorite, so you have to play around that. Apart from his elemental skill, Tartaglia is a fantastic DPS unit. Correct me if I'm wrong, but his burst skill still has one of the best scaling in the game. Like, it's just talking about raw numbers here. Now, I do think there are other units now that have better scaling overall, but if we're talking about one instance of burst damage, Eula is still probably the best if you're just talking raw numbers, and Tartaglia is probably like 3rd or 4th. I forgot who was 2nd. I believe Ayaka is somewhere up there as well, but let me tell you guys, a unit that's been released almost 3 years ago is still at the worst top 5, I would say, in terms of his burst damage potential. Says a lot about this character. So now let's talk about the reason why they're here. I mean, it should be spelt on the wall for everybody that there's a lot of new players right now in Fontaine, especially on CN. There's forums and there's discussion posts with a lot of new players asking a ton of questions, and I am just baffled by Hoyoverse's ability to somehow gather so many new players, new faces still into the game. The funny thing is, though, I've been asking everybody at work, which is incredibly weird. I know, on a real estate project, I'm asking everybody, hey, what games do you guys play? Do you guys play games here? And they're like, yeah, we play some games, we play mobile games. I'm like, oh my god, tell me, what do you guys play? And not a single one of them said Genshin Impact. I'm just baffled. Nobody even said Honkai Star Rail. And only one out of like 20 people knew who Hoyoverse or Mihoyo even was. So that's crazy, and I've seen no Genshin advertisement in the city that I'm in, nor have I gotten any ads related to Genshin Impact, which I don't get it. I really don't get it. Where are the people that actually plays this game? Am I just in the wrong city? But don't get me wrong, they all play mobile games. They just play different mobile games. They play this Arena of Valor or something like that. It's a huge mobile game in China. It's like League of Legends, but on your mobile phone. Like if that, they love playing that game. But ultimately, Hoyoverse has somehow managed to bring in an entire new wave of new players, and they've set up really nice banners for them. I gotta give it to Hoyoverse. They treat their new players, they treat their low-end players, they treat the common denominator really well. They make sure the players who are playing the slowest, the players who are having the least amount of time to play the game, they're very well taken care of. They're making sure they don't quit as easily, and they have very little reason to quit because there's already very little demand for your time. And I think Fontaine is a great way again to introduce new players into the game. It's not too complex. There's a great mix of overworld exploration, combat, and getting primo gems have really never been easier. You just go anywhere and you can get primo gems. People have been getting hundreds and hundreds of primo gems and getting tons of summons, and people are quite happy, honestly. Apart from the very small group of people who have voiced concerns about how Hoyoverse is running the game, overall, people seems to be in high spirit, and so am I, which leads us to the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please comment down below what you guys think about Zhongli and Tartaglia in the current state of Genshin Impact, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, urge you to stay safe. Peace, peace.